What's going on, you guys? We got the 2024 Mustang EcoBoost Premium, and take a listen to this. This car still has the same 2.3-liter inline turbo, but this version makes 315 horsepower and 350 pound-feet of torque. And paired with that engine is a 10-speed automatic transmission, and the 10 speeds that Ford makes are amazing. And finally, from the factory, Ford was able to make the 2.3-liter EcoBoost actually sound decent. It is very difficult to make 4 cylinders sound good, but this one is just enough. It's not too loud to the point where it just sounds like a fart can, but it's just enough to give you some fun noise with this engine. So this will do 0 to 60 in about 6 seconds and the quarter mile in 13.7 seconds. Now that is the one disappointing thing about this car. I have a 2016 EcoBoost and it's tuned up, and I got 5.2 seconds on a 0 to 60 run pretty easily. And so it's very unfortunate that I hop in this thing and the 0 to 60 is slower than my S550. But this car has the previous generations beat in so many ways, and you're gonna see why. This car did eat a little bit too much McDonald's, so it weighs a bit more. It's at around 3,600 pounds, but wait till you see the cornering test on this car, because oh my gosh, this thing can handle very well. Now, starting off on the exterior, in the front you have a completely redesigned front end. You can see some similarities with the S550 and even the S197. I think they really tried to add a lot more of a muscly look to this car. And this specific car in the blue paint scheme looks amazing. I think Ford does a great job with all of their S550 cars and beyond with how they color these cars. However, on the EcoBoost, the hood of this car is very plain. There's no hood vents, and it's about just as long as it was in the S550, as to be expected in the EcoBoost, though I still think it looks really nice. This car has a blacked out Mustang logo on the grille, and it has a 2-level grille setup, and these EcoBoosts need as much cooling as they can get. If you really start pushing these cars, that engine gets hot and it really hurts the performance. And on this car, you're gonna see a strong blackout theme. Just wait. In the front, you're gonna still have those tri-headlights because that's a signature Mustang thing, but they look a little bit more square, and I'm kind of torn on whether I like it or not. Personally, I think the S550 headlight design is a lot better, but the ones that they placed on this car definitely do fit the body style of this car. Moving along to the side of the car, you're gonna have these very nice designed blacked out wheels, again adding on to the blackout theme, and the tires are gonna be 255 in the front and 255 in the back, and that is fine. This car, with the power that it has, you're not gonna have really any traction issues at all. As for brakes, if you don't option for the Brembos, you're gonna get 2 pistons in the front and 1 piston brakes in the back. That may sound horrible, but honestly, when I was pushing this car in the corners, you're gonna see that momentarily, I think it handled very well. Mind you, this car is pretty much fresh out of the factory, so they may wear down pretty quickly. And again, adding along to the black accents, you're gonna have blacked out mirrors as well, and that was just a cop. If he was there during my POV drive, that would have ended differently. Overall, on the side of this car and in the front, it's pretty plain. There's not a whole lot going on, but that leaves a lot of room for the cars like the GT or the Dark Horse to really spice up the design of the car, which is acceptable. Either way though, I think the design of this is pretty sleek and nice. And moving along to the back of this car, you're gonna have a completely redesigned back end as well. I think it looks a lot more sharp and futuristic. I do like the back of this car more than I do the S550. However, I just had to get used to that consistent colored trunk lid. I'm used to seeing the trunk lid break up the color, but on this one it's the same color. And this one does have a little black lip spoiler, which I do like, although I don't think it looks like that good for being a spoiler. And also the Mustang logo in the back is blacked out as well. I love the consistent black and blue theme. It looks really good. And also the trunk space in this car is very plentiful. These Mustangs and Camaros are definitely designed to be a daily driver, not a family car, but it's just enough to handle this as a daily. Even if you need to take a vacation, you can fit a ton of stuff in these trunks. Okay, the outside of this car is pretty cool, but let's get to the selling point of this car, the reason why you would really want to buy this, and that's the inside. Right away, when you open the door on this car, you're presented with a totally redesigned interior. The only thing that wasn't redesigned is the door panel, but you still get nicer materials on your door panel. And also on the door panel, you get rear controllable windows. And that doesn't sound like a big deal, but it adds so much to the visibility of this car. When you look over your shoulder, you have a completely clear sight of what lane you're turning into, and I love that. And when you jump into the driver's seat of this car, the redesign on the steering wheel and the gauge cluster cluster is phenomenal. It feels so nice to hold this wheel. It feels so nice to turn it. And I love the configurable gauge cluster. More on that in a second. The seats that we're sitting in are cloth and they feel fine. No complaints there. You can option for leather, and I just got out of the 2024 Mustang GT that had Recaros, and oh man, you cannot beat those. So in this car, you have two screens. Oddly enough, in the Mustang GT I reviewed, the screens were connected, but in this one, they're two separate ones. I have no idea why Ford would do that. I'm not complaining at all. I mean, I think they both look cool in their own way. I just think that's very strange. It's like, hey, sorry, you're not as good as a GT Premium owner. Sorry. Now, in the screen to your left, you have all your gauge cluster stuff. And yes, this thing is completely configurable. If you go into the screen on the right, which has all your vehicle settings, which we'll talk about in just a moment, you're able to choose multiple different designs for your gauge cluster. So you can do normal, sport, track. I love track. But then there's a very special one, Fox body style, and that is super cool. It takes the design of the gauge cluster from the old school Fox body, and you can experience that in here. You know, I don't know really why you'd want to do that, but if you're somebody that's owned a Fox body or you like that old school kind of classic vibe, then I understand why you'd want to do that and drive like that all the time. Now, in the screen to the right of us, we have a lot of different settings, options, and cool stuff to check out. So we have an option for track apps in here, and what that does is give you options to do a 0 to 60, which I'll show you in just a second. Let's go. 6.1. Ford, come on now. That ain't too good. You can also test your quarter mile time, your 0 to 100, 0 to 30, and you can do brake tests as well. And in the S550, that was in a tiny little screen in the middle of your gauge cluster, and now having these two separated iPads, or if you get the GT, I guess it's one massive iPad, that just makes it feel so much better. And by the way, the response of these screens is phenomenal. It's like literally using an iPad. In the screen to the right, you can also adjust the color of your ambient lighting and the color that's displayed on your gauge cluster. And oh man, I absolutely love that as well. It's so cool to just change it up, and when you see different colors, I don't know, it kind of makes it feel like a new car again. On the right screen, you also have valet mode, and there are just so many features that make this thing awesome. The reason why I'm so excited about this is because if you compare it to an S550 interior, especially one that's not a premium, it is such an upgrade. It's so nice sitting in here. In the 2024 GT review, I compared this interior to a Mercedes interior, and I had one person get mad at me, but seriously, when you look at the S550 and how far this interior has come, I think it is very fair to compare this to interiors like BMW or Mercedes or Lexus. It's not entirely on that level, but it's getting close. All right, now here's a negative. The center console in this car is so bare. There is almost nothing there. You get two areas for storage. One of them is gonna have USB ports, and you have a pretty big storage place right in between the back seats and the front seats, which is the same thing as that was in the S550, and that's nice to have. You also have two cup holders and an electronic parking brake. Now, here is something that really pisses me off. Ford removed the paddle shifters from this car. That is one of the only things that really makes an automatic fun, and now it's gone. In the back of the steering wheel, it's now just flat. There's nothing to press, there's nothing there, and I keep finding myself touching it, like trying to shift, but you don't get to. Okay, back to another positive. On the passenger side in the front seats, the materials they decided to use are amazing. I just love this redesign. They did not skimp out that much on this interior other than the center console. And can you spot what's missing in this center console? No drift brake. That was one of the coolest things I saw in the 2024 GT. I miss that thing so much. And the back seats in this car are exactly what you'd expect them to be. This car is not meant for 4 people to sit in it, which is fine. You also get cloth back there, and these seats are pretty comfortable. No need for leather unless you really want to go extra. All right, you guys, let's take 30 seconds and see how this car can perform in the corners. That's a sharp turn right there. A little squeal. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah. 15-mile-an-hour turn. It was definitely more than 15. Awesome. I do wish this car was a bit more responsive when you hit the gas. It feels like it takes a moment to really speed up. All in all, I think this car is pretty good. I am very upset about the performance considering my S550 EcoBoost with just a tune is significantly faster than this. But really, if you're looking at this kind of car, you're looking at it because of the interior and the redesign of the exterior. However, it's going to be a lot more expensive when you can consider getting a used S550 EcoBoost. Let me know what you guys think of this car down in the comments below. I really hope you enjoyed. Make sure you subscribe, like, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.